What's up, beautiful people of YouTube? Today I just want to do a quick video on the Finalmouse Ultralight Phantom. Now this mouse was or is technically a limited edition mouse. Finalmouse only did a single run of I believe about 25,000 units. So you technically can't buy it anymore unless you don't mind paying 2 or 3 times its MSRP. There are still units available on eBay, at least at the time of this video. But if you can, I would wait. There's really only 2 differentiating factors between the Finalmouse Ultralight Sunset and the Ultralight Phantom. The first is purely aesthetic, the color. The second is actually a pretty significant upgrade in the cable. Finalmouse is calling it the Ultralight Phantom because the cable is supposedly so vastly improved that it basically feels like you're using a wireless mouse. I can say that the Phantom Ultralight's cable is the best I've ever used, but it still doesn't feel like a wireless mouse. There's still some very, very subtle drag when you're moving the mouse across the mouse pad. Anyway, the whole reason I say to wait is because Finalmouse has stated that they will be putting the Phantom cable on all their other Ultralight mice. Now, they haven't given a specific date as to when that will be. I heard it's sometime before the end of the year, so maximum that's 3.5 months you have to wait. My guess would be that you're gonna see the cable changes on the next batch of mice that they put out, which will probably be 6 to 8 weeks from now. That's just my guess. Now, I already did a full review of the Ultralight Sunset mouse, so I'm really only going to be talking about the cable in this video. But if you want to check out that full review, there will be a link in the description box below. I also briefly just wanted to touch on Finalmouse's quality control. I've heard a lot of negative things regarding that issue, and I have to say my experience with the 2 mice I've purchased from them overall has been pretty positive. I'll get into that a little bit more later on, but for now, let's talk about the cable. I said before that the Phantom had one of the best mice cables I've ever used on a wired gaming mouse. And, I mean, you can just see how little the mouse is actually moving and how much I'm moving the cable. It's really quite impressive, I have to say. Finalmouse did a fantastic job with the cable. I mean, obviously I can physically move the mouse pretty easily if I just drag it or make some extreme motions. But yeah, I mean, you can just see how flexible this thing is. It's very malleable and it doesn't hold its shape, which is something you want in a gaming mouse cable. Comparing the Phantom's cable to the old cable, it's really just night and day. I mean, you can kind of see here how much I'm moving the cable and how much the mouse moves as well. It's almost like the cable is just a stick attached to the mouse, and wherever you move the cable, that's where the mouse is going to go. I mean, and it holds its shape. I don't know if you can see that almost too well. There's almost still a 90-degree angle right there. And it's, really stiff trying to get it to go back the other way. I mean, it's really just, it's impressive. I have to say that Finalmouse was able to go from one of the worst cables on a mouse to one of the best. That was the major complaint when the Finalmouse Ultralights first shipped, that the cable was terrible. Finalmouse listened, responded, and they fixed it. I really have to, hats off to them. It's unfortunate that it seems, at least to me, that it's a rarity companies listen to complaints and resolve the issues rather quickly. I did say when I reviewed this mouse, my full review, that the cable wasn't really an issue for me because I prop it up about yay high. I don't know if you can see, that's like 7 inches probably because it's elevated on this black monitor stand, and then I have a mouse bungee on top of that. So it wasn't an issue for me, but since the cable was elevated and it barely ever touched the mouse pad, But I could see the cable being a huge issue for people who don't have that setup or don't own a mouse bungee at all. So, to recap, old cable bad, new cable good. If the old cable bothered you, wait till Finalmouse updates all their mice with the Phantom cable and then buy that one. It's worth noting that the coating on the Ultralight Phantom is actually the exact same as the coating on the Ultralight Sunset. I would describe it as a semi-soft, semi-hard rubber. It's almost like a mix between a hard plastic and a soft rubber. It's not like any material I've ever felt before. It actually it applies to the top part of the mouse there. The side grips on both mice are still actually hard plastic. So unfortunately, it's probably not going to make you play any better. If anything, you'll just look cooler gaming, which I don't think too many people care about. Another common issue or complaint I heard with the Ultralight actually had to do with the mouse feet. A lot of people were saying that the mouse just wasn't gliding smoothly across their pad, or that the mouse feet were catching. And if we take a look at the mouse feet, you can see that there's 4 medium-sized pads, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. And I think a lot of those issues actually come from how pointy the mouse feet are. If you take a look in the front, you can see that there's 3 corners on each pad, and in the back there's actually 4. And it's a little perplexing why they would pick these feet for this mouse. I would think in general you would want smooth, rounded mouse feet with no sharp corners. That way nothing catches on them. If we compare the feet to the Ultralight to the feet in the G403, you can see this is a much better design. It's just 2 large feet with actually no sharp corners. Everything's rounded. And I did say in my original Sunset review that I thought the mouse feet were actually above average and I had no issues with them. But on the Phantom copy I got here, at least one of the corners of one of the mouse feet was catching, and it wasn't gliding smoothly at all, at least in the beginning. It's much better now, almost as good as the Sunset model. But I'm still a little disappointed that the mouse feet are designed so poorly. I'm not sure if they're just cheap or if it's purely the design, or it could also be that they're just not raised enough. I'm not really sure. But it's a little disappointing that you would find such cheap mouse feet on a $90 mouse. The regular Ultralight's going for $70, probably having the same issue. Another area of concern I've heard from some people has to do with the scroll wheel. I've only read of a few isolated incidents of where people's scroll wheel actually just completely breaks. Personally, I've only ever owned these 2 mice by Finalmouse, so I can only really comment on my own personal experience, but I have to say that they felt pretty solid to me. I guess time will tell. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people still have a negative association with the company due to the whole Scream 1 fiasco. And I think that's totally justified. I can definitely understand the frustration that comes when a product doesn't work the way it's intended to, and even the company's solutions to said problem still don't resolve the issue. But I think it's a little unreasonable to think that just because a company produced a complete flop before, that doesn't mean they can't go on to make great products. I mean, just look at Samsung and the whole Note 7 issue. They're still out there making some of the best smartphones available. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents on the matter. I think if you're prejudiced against Finalmouse for some products they've created in the past, I say give them another chance, because the Finalmouse really is a fantastic mouse. On a more personal note though, you guys might be interested to know that I'm no longer using the Ultralight as my daily driver. And it's not like my opinion on the mouse or anything has changed. It's actually just because the mouse is so light that when I want to use a new mouse to review or just try out, the weight difference is so substantial that it's a much harder transition. And basically just for that reason alone, I've started using the G403 again as my number one. The Finalmouse is still a great mouse, and I highly recommend it and love it. It just takes too long to get used to when I want to come back to it. Anyway, guys, that's going to wrap up the video. I'm sorry it went a little longer than I initially intended, but hopefully you found it helpful. If you have any questions for me, just go ahead and leave me a note in the comment section below, and I will do my best to get back to you. I do read every single comment. I know that might be hard for some of you to believe since I have a whopping 50 subscribers right now. But also, give me your, I want to know what you guys think on this sort of new format where you get to see this ugly mug in addition to some mouse footage. If you'd prefer the old, the original videos, that style more, let me know. I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts. I'm currently thinking that I'm going to do sort of a blend of this this face and some mouse footage. Yeah, just let me know what you guys think about that. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.